My wonderful people, welcome to Poxial's ultimate Stardew Valley guide. The only Stardew Valley guide you will ever need. I've clocked over 1,000 hours and perfected the game at least 5 times, so I'd like to think I have the experience to guide anyone through the wonderful world of Stardew Valley. That being said, this guide will be split into 3 sections. The beginner's guide, for those who picked up the game, played for 20 minutes and have no idea what's going on. The intermediate's guide, for those who have played for a while and mastered the basics, but you're still a little stuck on finishing the community center. And finally, the expert's guide, for those Stardew players who need guidance through the end game activities and need a little push to get that big 100% completion. There is truly something for everyone in this guide, and if you do enjoy the guide, then be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I will love you forever. This is going to be a very thorough guide, folks, so strap in, buckle up, it's gonna be a doozy, and get ready to be guided to perfection. Before you even step foot in the valley, you have to choose what farm layout you want to play on. If you are just starting out, I'd 100% recommend the standard farm. It's the easiest to wrap your head around because it's one big dirt canvas. But I will go through them all for you. Firstly, the standard farm. It has lots of farmable land, lots of room to build on, and it's ultimately the best choice for just starting out. The Riverland farm has a bunch of rivers running through it, which does limit the amount of land to build and farm on. However, you do start with a fish smoker. This one I probably wouldn't recommend for newer players. The forest farm is a layout I would recommend for new players though. You get a decent amount of land to farm on and build on. Seasonal forage also spawns on the farm, plus there are stumps that respawn daily. The hilltop farm has a pretty sizable quarry on it that will get you ores and minerals that you'd normally get from the mines. However, there is quite a lack of room to build and farm, so it's not very beginner friendly. The wilderness farm spawns monsters at night. I think enough said about that one. I don't want monsters spawning. It also has this lake in the middle of it, which is kind of annoying for farming and building stuff. Again, not very beginner friendly. The Four Corners farm was simply made for multiplayer. I think you could choose this farm type though. It's split into 4 quadrants for farming, mining, fishing, and foraging. I actually would recommend this layout for a new player if you want. Next is the beach farm. It's terrible for farming because you can't place sprinklers on the sand, which, you know, that's like half the map. It makes up for it though with beach forage and supply crates that get washed onto shore. I'd pick this layout if you're keen for a challenge. And finally, the last layout is the Meadowlands farm. You get limited farming room, loads of room to build, and 2 starter chickens. Similar to the beach farm, I'd suggest this farm layout to those looking for a bit of a challenge. They are all of the farm layouts you can pick from. My top 3 picks for beginner friendly layouts were the standard farm, forest farm, and the Four Corners farm. Okay, so now that you've left your dead-end job at Joja, you've taken the bus to the valley, and you've moved into your grandpa's farmhouse. Well, now what? Well, we should get you familiar with the valley itself. Leaving the farm to the right, we have the bus stop. There's not much here for us right now, it's just an extra area before we get to Pelican Town. Pelican Town will be the heart of your journey in Stardew Valley, so let's go through all the different buildings here. The first couple you'll come across are the clinic and the general store. The clinic is pretty useless unless you want to buy energy or health tonics. The general store, on the other hand, will be a very important place for prospective farmers. Pierre sells the seasonal seeds you'll buy, along with a bunch of other stuff and backpack upgrades. The general store is only open from 9 AM to 5 PM and closed on Wednesdays, so keep that in mind when you're eyeing up a trip to the store. Just below that, in the center of town, is the Stardrop Saloon. The saloon opens at 12 PM, but it stays open until midnight. Here at the saloon, you can purchase cooked dishes, some cooking recipes, and makes for a great backdrop for a cozy Friday night social gathering. Continuing right and over the river, we have 2 very important buildings and 1 not so important building. The museum, the blacksmith, and Joja Mart. The museum opens from 8 AM to 6 PM, and it's where you can drop off any artifacts and minerals. The blacksmith is open from 9 AM to 4 PM, and it's where you can purchase ores and tool upgrades. And the Joja Mart is the villain of this story. It's basically the general store store, you can buy seeds and everything peers sell. Should you decide to side with Joja, then you'll come here a lot. And the final building here in the main part of town is the community center. I'll delve into that soon as well. I should note the rest of the houses situated around Pelican Town are where the villagers live. You know, just in case you walk into one of them and think, hey, where's the shop? When, you know, someone's just trying to have a sleep in. Anywho, a quick trip to the south of town takes us to the beach. This is where we find Willie's Fishing Shop, open from 9 AM to 5 PM except Saturdays. You can purchase all things fishing here. New rods, baits, tackles, you name it, Willie's got it. To the north of town, past the community centre, is the mountain area. Here you'll find the carpenter's shop, open from 9 AM to 5 PM except on Tuesdays. Robin sells resources, furniture, house upgrades and buildings for your farm, and I'm sure you will be seeing a lot of her. The other two important aspects of the mountain area are the mines and the Adventurers Guild, both of which I'll touch on in a sec. Just to the north of the mountains is the railroad. Apart from the bathhouse, where you can refill your energy if you're ever feeling low, there's nothing really here for us yet. To the left of the mountain area is a little shortcut through the backwoods. This puts you back at the top of your farm. The last place on this guided tour of the valley is the Cindersap Forest. This is a massive area to the south of the farm. Here you'll find Marnie's Ranch, open from 9 AM to 4 PM except on Mondays and Tuesdays. This is where you'll purchase animals and all things animal related. And the Wizard's Tower, we'll be able to access that one soon. So now that you're an expert on where things are in the valley, we should touch on the inventory screens. What the hell are these tabs and why are they so important? Well, lucky for you, I'm here to tell you. The first page is your inventory and it gives you some basic information about you and your farm. The second is your player skills. I have a whole section for player skills coming up, don't worry about it. Tab number 3 is for your relationships with the villagers of Pelican Town. Tab 4 is the map, just in case the valley tour went in one ear and out the other. The next is crafting, where you can use your hard-earned materials to craft machines, items, and everything in between. Tab number 6 is for your animals. Once you start adding them to your farm, you'll get to see details about every single one of them. The next tab is all about special items and powers. The tab after that is the collections tab. This will be handy when you start going for perfection. Basically, anytime you ship anything, catch anything, find anything, or cook anything, it'll show up in this tab here. The next tab is the settings. You can have a play around with them yourself. And finally, the last one is if you want to save and quit. Just be mindful, the days only save after you go to sleep. Please don't try and quit midway through a day thinking it'll save. It definitely won't. Go to sleep first. Aside from your inventory, you'll also have a journal. Anytime you pick up a quest or get given one in the mail, it'll show up here. It's an easy way to keep a track of them all because they do rack up quickly. Next on my guide is farming basics. You want to get rich and make some money? You gotta know how to farm, damn it. Let's take the starter parsnips for example. 2 things to notice before we plant them. Parsnip seeds can only be planted in spring, and they take 4 days to grow. These 2 things are very important. Every seed has seasons it can grow in, either just the one or multiple seasons, and it has a certain amount of days that it will grow in. So keep those 2 things in mind when you're starting your farming empire. That being said, to get these bad boys in the ground, it's best to clear some room for them. Hoe the dirt where you want to place them, plant them down, and water them with your watering can. You will need to water your crops every day unless it rains, then Mother Nature will take care of that for you. And if you run out of water, then be sure to fill it up at the closest water source. Farming is a surefire way to make money in the early game. You'll always get a profit from whatever you grow. Now when these bad boys are finished growing, you have some options. Option 1 is to save them for energy. Everything you do takes energy, so having some crops for energy isn't a bad idea. Option 2 is to sell them, which is probably what you should do. You can dump them into the shipping bin. This will give you your gold overnight when you go to sleep for the day. Or you can sell them straight to Pierre at the general store to get the gold right there and then. Do keep in mind, if you sell to Pierre, then it won't show up in your collections tab. But either way, you'll have your hard-earned gold in your pocket. You can purchase more seeds from Pierre or Jojamart and repeat the whole process over again. Just be sure to craft and place down a scarecrow so your crops don't get stolen by those pesky crows. Like I mentioned in the valley tour, stores are open from certain times and close later in the day, which means there is a day-night cycle. Crazy, right? You always wake up at 6 AM. The latest you can stay awake until is 2 AM. So technically, if you did that every day, then your farmer will constantly be running on 4 hours of sleep, which, you know, good on him. I couldn't do it, but you can. However, there is something to be said about passing out at 2 AM, because it doesn't come without its consequences. You will have less energy the next day, and you will lose 10% of your gold up to 1,000 gold. So be careful and don't miss your bedtime. But what about foraging? What is it? Where is it? Why is it? All very good questions. Seasonal forage spawns around the valley and will continue to spawn until Sunday, when it resets. So if you are looking for forage, Saturday is the best day to collect it all. Personally, I used forage items for energy in the early game, and I keep one of each for the community center. It's best to collect forage when you see it to help get your foraging levels up, and also check the beach every now and again. The beach has some specific beach forage that you can't get anywhere else. Another skill that I am going to enlighten you all about is fishing. Considering you'll probably get the bamboo rod from Willy on your second day, I'd be silly not to mention it. I am quite the skilled fisherman myself. I even coined the term when in doubt, fishing out, which I think is both catchy and clever.
Oh, brother!
Humble bragging aside, here are some fishing basics. When you cast your rod for the very first time and you hook your very first fish, it's a given that you'll catch it, but it's so you get the idea of how the fishing minigame works. Basically, you have to keep the green bar over the fish icon as it moves around, and when the bar fills up entirely, congratulations, you just caught a fish. Each fish has its own difficulty to catch. Some are mild in temperament and easy to catch, some are not, and just a right pain in the ass to catch. But we'll talk about those ones later. My best advice and technique to use when catching fish is to repeatedly tap the button when you're trying to catch it. You can hold it down, but I find that not as reliable. Now that you know how to catch them, there are so many fish to catch, and fish that you catch in the ocean, in the river, and in lakes are all going to be different. Ocean fish can't be found in lakes, and lake fish can't be found in rivers, so be sure to spread your fishing around the different areas. Lastly, don't let the rain discourage you from fishing either. Some fish will only spawn when it's raining. The same can be said about the time of day. Some fish only spawn early in the morning or only late at night. Moving on to the mines, I'm here to take away the fear of entering the dark, scary caverns once and for all. Because once you know what you're doing, you'll be a pro in no time at all. Until the 5th day of spring, the mines will be inaccessible, so don't get too excited until then. But once they do open, you meet Marlin of the Adventurers Guild, and you'll obtain your first sword. I hope you bought your pickaxe, because you won't be getting very far without it. Breaking rocks with the pickaxe has a chance to spawn a ladder, and when you interact with it, then you'll pop down to the next level. On every 5th level there will be an elevator. The elevator is a quote-unquote way to save your progress in the mines. It allows you to return to the surface, and then you can return to any of the elevator levels that you have previously unlocked. A couple of things to also note: if you decide to use the ladder instead of the elevator, it will also take you back to the surface. It will not take you back one level. I got caught out by that when I first started playing, so don't be like me. Secondly, you will run through energy very quickly when you first start in the mines. So like I mentioned before, crops you've grown, fish you've caught, or forage you've picked can be used here for extra energy. There is nothing more frustrating than being one level away from an elevator level and running short on energy. Thirdly, if you do return to the surface, the floors will reset, meaning if you leave on floor 19 and return to floor 15 via the elevator, the ladders and progress you made will be gone. So just something to keep in mind. If you encounter an infested floor, it means you have to slay all the monsters on that floor before you can proceed. I will let you know now that there are 120 floors total. That's a lot, but my advice is to take it slow, clear out enemies, and find those ladders. Checkpoint levels, the multiple of 10 levels, have loot waiting for you to take as well. Definitely make the most of that. and collect ores, minerals, and destroy crates along the way. You'll definitely need all of it. When you take it all home, there's a simple way to turn the ore you got into bars. Clint will show up on your doorstep with the blueprint for a furnace a day after you get your first copper ore. It takes some copper ore and stone to craft one, so make sure you have some spare. To smelt the ore into bars, hold at least 5 ore above your head, have at least 1 coal in your inventory, and interact with the furnace. Now you just have to wait. And yay, you did it! Woo, go you! I have mentioned skills, and you might be wondering, what are they, Pox? Well, whenever you do something, whether it be farming, fishing, foraging, mining, or monster slaying, you get a bit of XP for it. You can keep a track of your skills in the skills tab of your inventory. When you level up a skill, you'll get a little message that pops up and says, I have ideas to think on. When you go to bed that night, you'll get to see what skills you leveled up that day. Each level unlocks different crafting or cooking recipes suited towards that skill. For example, you start unlocking sprinkler crafting recipes when you level up your farming. Level 5 and level 10 in each skill will give you a choice to choose a profession. For example, when you reach fishing level 5, you get to choose between the fisher perk or the trapper perk. And from there, at level 10, you get to pick between 2 more perks that run on from the initial perk that you chose at level 5. I promise I'll get into what the different perks are and what to choose in the intermediates guide, but for now, that's the basics of it. Animals, we all love them, and here's how to get your own. Your first animal will come in the form of a cat or dog that you chose as you were setting up your save file. Marnie will let you adopt it on the first Friday of spring. You can name it whatever you like, so enjoy your new little bestie. As for farm animals, well, now that's a little bit more complicated. To get started, you will need to gather materials and have some money in your pocket. You can see what materials you will need to gather and how much money you will need by visiting Robin at the carpenter's shop and clicking on the farm buildings option. You can build a coop or barn for your animals, coop for small animals like chickens, and a barn for bigger animals like a cow. When you have gathered the materials and you have enough money to purchase one or the other, you will get to place it down wherever you like on your farm. That is step 1. Step 2 is then to visit Marnie at her ranch to purchase the animals you would like in your coop or barn. You'll have limited options when you first start, however you can expand your list of animals by upgrading your coop and or barn at Robin's. Then you'll get access to house more animals. You also have to look after your animals. Don't assume they're self-sufficient, they'll be very angry at you. Make sure to pet them every day, and you can purchase hay from Marnie that you can place inside your coop or barn. Or they will eat grass outside if it's sunny and you've opened up the little gate to let them out. They won't go outside on a rainy day, so make sure they're fed with hay. They also have a chance to be attacked if you leave them trapped outside overnight. Just don't close the gate before bedtime, leave it open, and maybe put some fences around it to keep your little cuties safe. Once you have a good relationship with your animals, they will start to give you produce. To collect the produce, eggs can be picked up, however things like milk and wool need to be collected by using a pail and shears respectively. Both of these things can be purchased from Marnie. And hopefully now you have a basic understanding of how you can take care of your very own animals. Next, we are going to move right along to the community center. This is the heart of the Stardew Valley experience. Before I do get into it, to unlock it first and foremost, you must get the cutscene with Lewis in town. This can be triggered by entering the town from the bus stop from the 5th onward between 8 AM and 1 PM. Trust me when I say you'll probably trigger it without even thinking about it. Once that cutscene is over, you read the scroll that you find and wait 1 day. You'll get a message from the wizard in the mail the next day. If you go and see him at his tower in the Cindersap Forest, he'll give you a potion that allows you to read the scroll. And hey, look at that! You can now read Junimo. The idea of the community center is to help these round little cuties called Junimos return to their homeworld by completing the bundles they leave out for you. And in return, they will fix up the community center for you. The first bundle that you will see is one for the spring foraging. Once you hand over those items, you will start to unlock more rooms to complete. Completing more bundles will unlock more rooms. In total, there are 6 rooms, each filled with a number of bundles to complete. And this is where you will start to put all of those skills that we've gone over to use. You will need to grow crops, collect forage, catch certain fish, purge minerals and ores from the mines, and make a whole bunch of money, all of which you will need to finish every single bundle. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'll do that soon in the intermediates guide, but that's all you really need to know for now, except for the fact that you can totally skip by the community center if you want to side with JojaMart. If you purchase the Joja Community Development form from Morris, then you will officially side with JojaMart. The community center gets bulldozed for a Joja warehouse and you complete community development projects. They are the exact same rewards as completing the bundles, but the only difference is you just pay for them. So it's up to your own moral compass whether you choose the community center or the Joja route. Just know that there's a right and a wrong decision. I'm just kidding, you can do whatever you like. With all the core mechanics covered, let's go over a few extra things that you'll need to know. This is the ultimate Stardew Valley guide after all, I have to cover everything. The television in your farmhouse has some very important information on it that you'd be silly to bypass. Firstly, it will tell you tomorrow's weather. Giving you an insight into tomorrow's weather can help you plan in advance. For example, if it's forecasted to rain, you know your crops will be watered so you can spend the extra energy in the mines. Secondly, the television has a show that plays every Sunday called The Queen of Sauce. You will learn cooking recipes from it. It also plays replays on Wednesdays in case you missed an episode. And finally, it will tell you about your daily luck. Luck is a statistic that affects many different aspects of the game, such as the chance of finding geodes and chance of finding treasure chests from fishing. It ranges from very bad to very good. In simple terms, I find that all days are different. I don't get too caught up in the daily luck because I just use it as a scapegoat if something doesn't go my way. But it is important to know it's there nonetheless. The basics of friendships is up next. The more time you spend in the valley, the more time you'll get to know the villagers who inhabit it. Every time you talk to someone, you'll gain a very small amount of friendship points with them. You can also give gifts to the villagers, but be warned that each item can be loved, liked, neutral, disliked, or hated by each villager. And yes, everyone is different. My advice is to use the Stardew Valley wiki to see what a specific villager likes or loves. There are some items that are universally liked or loved, like rabbit's feet, prismatic shards, cooked dishes, and artisan goods. Each villager also has a birthday. Outside of the general store, there is a calendar that will show you the birthdays for the season. If you give a gift to someone on their birthday, then you'll get a lot more friendship points than if you did on any other day. So definitely make use of the birthdays. When you do start to get hearts with villagers, you'll see them pop up in the friendships tab. This tab will also show if you've talked to someone that day and how many gifts you've given them. You can give someone a maximum of 2 gifts each week, which resets on a Sunday. So technically you could give someone a gift on Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday and Monday. Anyway, if you're that inclined to give someone 4 gifts in 4 days, that's how you do it. One last thing to note on friendship basics, when you gain hearts with villagers, you'll start to run into cutscenes around the valley. It's a nice way to get to know everyone. Actually, the true final thing about friendships, you can accept these help wanted quests from outside the general store. They're little quests put out by the villagers of Pelican Town for you to complete. Usually you'll have to find the item they want and hand it over to them when you get a hold of it. Another great way to gain friendship points with people. I'm going to quickly touch on the different seasons for a sec because I think it's important to talk about. Like I've said previously, each season brings with it new crops to grow, new forage to collect, a new set of birthdays, festivals, and fish to catch. Try not to get too overwhelmed when you first start out. It's easy to get to the end of a season and think, damn, I missed so much. At the end of the day, the season will always come around again, so just enjoy what you did manage to do. Okay, next on my list is artifacts, minerals, and the museum. Minerals and artifacts are items that can be donated to the museum in exchange for rewards. But how does one even come across these in the first place? Well, you may have seen these worm-looking things in the dirt around the valley. They aren't just for the aesthetics, they're called artifact spots. And if you attack it with your hoe, then you have a chance to dig up an artifact. Other times you may just get something useless like stone or clay, but each area on the map map can drop different artifacts from these artifact spots, so be sure to dig them all over the valley. Minerals, on the other hand, you will primarily get from opening geodes. Geodes are something that you will naturally collect from your time down in the mines. These mineral-filled geodes can be cracked open at Clint's blacksmith for 25 gold a pop. Each geode has its own pool of minerals that it can produce, so be sure to open all the different types of geodes. You may also get artifacts from geodes if you're lucky. You can then take them to Gunther at the museum and donate them all. Just be sure to pick up your rewards. You'll unlock them for donating certain amounts of items. Throughout the first year in the valley, you might become aware of the festivals that the town throws each season. There's 2 per season. In spring, you have the Egg Festival and the Flower Dance. In summer, you have the Luau on the beach and the Moonlight Jellies on the very last day of the season. In fall, you have the Valley Fair and the Spirit's Eve Festival. And in winter, you have the Festival of Ice and the Feast of the Winter Star. If you want to see when a festival is on, just check the calendar. They'll be on the same day every year. One thing to note about festivals is you have to arrive between 9 AM and 2 PM. But once you get there, you can stay as long as you like. The last section on my beginner's guide is set aside for upgrading tools. You may remember that I mentioned Clint at the blacksmith will upgrade your tools for you. All you need is 5 bars of the appropriate mineral and enough money to purchase the upgrade. Do bear in mind that when you get a tool upgrade, you'll lose access to that tool for a couple of days. For example, if you hand over your pickaxe on a Monday, then you won't be able to collect it until Wednesday. So maybe plan some other activities for yourself while you wait. Upgrading tools is very necessary to progressing through the game. Certain stumps and big rocks require stronger tools to break, so I recommend doing it. Before we wrap up the beginner's guide, I have a few extra tips and tricks for you to take with you to your next Stardew Valley playthrough. You'll be the envy of all your friends with these ones, so let's get into it. On your first few days, if you want some extra crops for money, then use your scythe to chop down weeds. The weeds have a chance to drop mixed seeds, and mixed seeds, when planted, have a chance to be any crop of the season you're in. Go out and maximize those early game profits. If the television tells you it's raining tomorrow and you want a watering can upgrade, then hand it over to Clint at the end of the day. The rain will water your crops the next day, and then you can pick up your watering can the day after that. Not a day missed watering your crops, and your watering can is now upgraded. If you pass out with 0 money, then you won't lose any money. It's a great tip for those first few days fishing. Stay out until 2 AM without any consequences. Make sure to smelt stuff before you go to bed. It'll be ready for you in the morning because the game counts sleep time as time spent smelting. For all you keyboard users out there who find the fishing minigame tricky, I find using the C key on your keyboard is way easier than using the mouse. Slaying all the monsters on a floor in the mines increases your chance to find a ladder by 4%. So get slaying! Chubs are a fish that can be caught at the mountain lake and are great for early game energy. What's better is they don't sell for much, so you can feel good about just using them for energy. Another good tip for the mines is to leave a chest beside the elevator. That way, after you make it down another 5 levels, you can just dump everything into the chest when you get back up and you can keep going. Leveling up overnight actually cancels out the energy deficit you get from passing out or having low energy the day before. So if you know you're leveling up, make use of all that energy. You can actually access the community center bundles from your inventory. You just can't drop stuff off though. For that, you'll actually have to go to the community center. But it's useful if you're wondering what you need for a bundle and you're miles away from the center. There's always been a big debate about whether to choose the fruit bats or the mushrooms for the farm cave. I almost always choose the fruit bats just to help with the community center. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. And finally, you can see if minerals and artifacts need to be donated by its description. If it does, it will say Gunther can tell you more about this if you donate it to the museum. And that's it for the beginner's guide. I hope you learned something and it helped to get you started. Feel free to stick around if you want to soak in even more Stardew Valley knowledge, because we are moving on to the intermediate's guide. Now that you've mastered the basics but might be a bit stuck as to what to do next, well, that is exactly what the Intermediate's Guide is for. And let's kick it off by talking about farming. You know how to water crops and to pick them and ship them when they're done, but how do we start to improve on this method? My first suggestion is to start utilizing sprinklers. Not having to water your crops is a real luxury. You've got 3 options of sprinklers: normal, quality, and iridium. For now, we'll focus on the first 2. Normal sprinklers can only water 4 tiles, the top, bottom, left and right tiles, and the quality sprinklers water all 8 tiles around it. Do keep in mind you'll unlock these crafting recipes from leveling up farming, and to get the quality sprinklers you need level 6 farming. Normal sprinklers you'll get from level 2 farming. With these sprinklers you'll be able to start making crop fields. Crop fields are especially good because you can always expand and add more sprinklers as you go. Another thing to keep in mind when farming are fertilizers. Fertilizers can be picked up from the general store, and there are 3 types: quality fertilizer, speed grow, and retaining soil. Quality fertilizer increases the chance of crops being a higher quality, speed grow increases the growth rate of a crop, and the retaining soil increases the chance of the soil staying watered overnight. The first 2 are very useful, and if you have the money to buy it, then I would recommend it. Higher quality produce sells for more, and the faster a crop grows, then the quicker you get the profits from it. The retaining soil I personally have never used in my life, because by then I already have the sprinklers. But if you do feel so inclined, then absolutely do it. Like I said in the beginner's guide, farming crops snowballs profits. If you can get a good crop field going, full of sprinklers, then you can't go wrong. Let's get back to my favorite activity in the game, fishing. To upgrade your fishing experience, you'll need to start at Willy's. As you level up your fishing skill, you'll start to unlock better rods and gear that Willy sells. Most notable is the fiberglass rod and the iridium rod. We'll start with the fiberglass rod. This rod allows you to attach bait to it. There are 2 types of bait, normal bait and deluxe bait. Normal bait is a lot cheaper, but if you can afford it, then get yourself some deluxe bait. Bait increases the bite rate when you fish, meaning you'll hook onto fish a lot more often. It's definitely worth investing in. The iridium rod not only lets you attach bait, but a tackle as well. There are many tackles in the game, all with different perks. I won't go over all of them right now, but you can see what they do by their description. A lot of these you can purchase from Willy or craft yourself. As you level up your fishing, you'll notice 2 things. Firstly, your green bar will start to increase in size, and I don't think anyone's going to be complaining about that. Secondly, you'll notice that you start to cast out a bit further. There's a system in this game that determines the quality of the fish you catch. You can maximize the quality of the fish you catch by casting out further into the deeper waters in the valley and by getting perfect catches. A perfect catch is me. I'm just kidding. It's when you don't let the fish out of the green bar the entire time you're reeling it in. If you do both of these things, then you'll start catching iridium quality fish. Ideally, you want to be perfect catching as many fish as you can because it gains you more XP than if you don't. And iridium quality fish sell for way more gold. So by combining a better rod, bait, tackles, and a bigger green bar, you'll start to have an easier time with the trickier fish you may come across. Quick side note, be on the lookout for bubbles. Casting your line into bubbles is like casting into a frenzy of fish. You'll hook fish way quicker if you can land your bobber in there. Moving right along to mining. Mining, once you've mastered the basics, is pretty much the same. There ain't too much difference to when you started. You probably just have better gear now. That being said, there are some things to mention. Copper, iron, and gold are relegated to their specific levels. Copper to the earth levels, iron to the ice levels, and gold to the lava levels. So if you do need gold for crafting sprinklers, for example, you will need to get to at least level 80 in the mines, as that's where gold is found. You also might be finding rings down here. If you are, then be sure to equip them in your inventory. Each one has its own power, like magnetism, light, extra damage, all sorts of things. And now that you are gathering a lot more materials, be sure to craft a few extra furnaces to speed up the smelting process. There's nothing worse than waiting by a singular furnace and you have a whole stack of iron to smelt. Another thing to note is daily luck will be the most noticeable in the mines. And by that I mean if you have a bad luck day, the chances of a ladder spawning will usually be horrendous. So you may want to wait for a good luck day to hit the mines if you want to have the best chance of finding ladders and making progress. I'll touch on combat now because I think that coincides with mining quite nicely. You may have come across a few weapons by now and noticed that They're not all the same. Weapons are categorized into 3 classes: sword, dagger, and club. If you're a newbie, then sticking with a sword is probably best. It does good damage, you can block with it, and it's a good middle ground weapon. A dagger, on the other hand, gets you a bit closer to the action. You attack a lot faster, and if you can get a secondary quick attack, you'll do some hefty damage. A club, on the other hand, is much slower, but deals big damage in one hit. It's probably a great weapon to pair with either a sword or a dagger if you want to start comboing weapons together. Weapons do not level with you either, meaning if you find a weapon that does more damage than the one you have now, definitely take it. There are slingshots in the game too. Personally, I haven't used them too much to give a good opinion on them, but hey, give it a try and let me know what you think. I always keep my word, and this next section is no exception. We're back with skills. What professions should you choose and why? We'll start with farming. At level 5, my advice is to pick the tiller profession. Crops being worth 10% more is a no-brainer. And at level 10, please pick artisan. All artisan goods make a good profit, but adding that 40% boost is going to make you very rich in the future. And I'll go over money making in the expert's guide if you're interested in that, by the way. You should be. Everyone loves making money. Next is mining. My recommendation for the level 5 profession is +1 ore per vein. It helps get you more minerals in the early game. From there, either the blacksmith or prospector is perfectly okay to choose. If you're always running out of coal, choose prospector. But if you want some extra money in your pocket and you're happy to sell off some bars, then the blacksmith profession is also great. For foraging, there's 2 paths that you can choose from. The Forester Lumberjack perks that basically get you a lot more wood when chopping trees down, very handy in the early game. On the other side, you have the Gatherer Botanist path that gets you a chance for double forage and forage at the highest quality. This is probably better for the later game, so I'll leave that one up to you. For fishing, the Fisher Angler path is the best. More money in your pocket from the fish that you sell is the best path. And finally, combat. I find that any perk you choose here will be useful. From Fall Year 1 and onwards, you may have come across the Special Quests board in town. Special Quests are a great way of earning gold, getting friendship points, and earning some pretty cool rewards in the process. You'll get the choice between 2 randomly selected quests per week. They reset on Mondays, and you'll get given a certain amount of time to complete the request in. If you don't complete it, then it'll be added back into the pool of quests that you can get, so don't worry if you don't finish it in time. If you do finish it, then you'll get a cash reward up front. You may even get a crafting recipe in the mail the following day, and you'll be rewarded with a prize ticket. These were added into the 1.6 update. You take them to the prize ticket machine in Lewis's house and exchange them for rewards. A very cool addition in my opinion. If you're staring at a wall and twiddling your thumbs, special quests are a great way to keep busy. Depending on how much time you spend in the Cindersap Forest, you may or may not have come across the Travelling Cart. The Travelling Cart visits the valley every Friday and Sunday, and each time she and her cute little piggy arrive in the valley, she'll have a random selection of items that she is selling, and it's best to visit her as often as you can. Often she'll have items required for the community centre. Just keep in mind it isn't guaranteed that she'll sell you something you need, but it's great to check nonetheless. Now let's talk about your animals. You know the basics, but how can you take it to the next level? My first suggestion is getting yourself a silo from Robin. They're relatively cheap and they store hay for you on your farm. But what does that mean? Well, you can chuck in any hay you have on you in the silo, or scything away at grass on the farm will automatically fill the silo with hay. In a normal coop or barn, or a big coop or barn, you can use this contraption to pull out the hay and feed your animals. Not to mention you can put it back if you take out too much. This will take from your hay reserves in the silo. However, in a deluxe coop or barn, the hay will automatically be fed to your animals. All you have to worry about is keeping the silo full. Something else you can pick up from Marnie's when you have enough gold to do so is the Auto Grabber, a wonderful invention made specifically to make your life easier. It will automatically collect the animal produce for you. All you have to do is collect it when you need it. And lastly, it took me a while to realize that this little contraption here in the corner of the coop is actually an incubator. If you get any weird looking eggs, then you can put them in the incubator. You never know what weird and wonderful creatures you might get if you hatch one. I think this next topic ties in nicely to the matter of animals, and that is artisan machines. What can you do with all the animal produce that you're getting? And the answer, my friends, is artisan machines. These machines will turn your animal produce into profitable artisan goods, and can be unlocked from leveling up your farming. The mayo machine turns your eggs into mayonnaise. The oil maker turns your pig's truffles into truffle oil. The cheese maker turns any milk you have into cheese. Kegs will turn fruit into wine and vegetables into juice. The bee house will give you honey if you leave it for long enough. The preserves jar will turn vegetables into pickles and fruit into jam. And finally, the loom will turn your wool into cloth. And remember, if you choose the artisan profession, then all of these goods will be worth 40% more than the base price. There are 3 more artisan machines that aren't acquired from leveling your farming. These are casks, the fish smoker, and the dehydrator. Casks can be obtained from purchasing all 3 of the farmhouse upgrades and unlocking the basement. These age any artisan good you put into it and will increase its quality. Be mindful though, because some aging takes a long time. Wine takes 56 days to age from its base to iridium quality. Unless you don't mind waiting that long, then be my guest. The fish smoker recipe can be purchased from Willy. You can smoke fish to double its value, and it's pretty useful if you can get it early on. Lastly, the dehydrator recipe is purchased from the general store. It dries mushrooms and fruits. Fun fact, if you choose the mushroom cave, then you'll automatically start with one, so that's something to keep in mind. Robin doesn't only just sell farmhouse upgrades and coops and barns, she also sells other things too. And it would be rude if I didn't mention them, because they are important, I guess. Things like the fish pond. If you have a fish pond on the farm, then you can start your very own fish farm. To increase its population, you give it gifts to make them feel welcome on the farm. Then as the population increases, they'll give you fish roe. And if you chuck that fish roe into a preserves jar, you'll get an aged roe that you can sell. The only fish that won't give you aged roe from a preserves jar is a sturgeon. Instead, you'll get caviar, which is very fancy if I do say so myself. A shed and then an upgraded shed is a great space saver for your farm, whether you want to fill it with kegs, artisan machines, chests and furnaces, or just decorate it. It's great for storing things on the farm without taking up too much space. A mill is pretty useless, I personally wouldn't bother with it. A slime hutch on the other hand, I would bother with. You'll get to raise your own little slimes, and by leveling up your combat, you'll get the necessary items to craft that will help in your slime ranching adventure. All you need is a slime incubator that you can fill with slime eggs. When they hatch, they produce slime balls that you can pop, which will shower you in more slime. Then if you dump that slime into a slime egg press, you'll make more slime eggs. It's a never-ending loop. Until you have 20 slimes, then you can't have any more. But make sure to feed them by filling their water trays every day. The last notable farm building you can get from Robin is a stable. This gets you a horse, and I think you know that that's something every farmer should have. Having all of this knowledge at your disposal, you should now be feeling pretty confident to tackle the rest of the community center. Just remember that it may take some time on your first playthrough. If you do really get stuck, the Stardew wiki again is a great resource to help out. I use it all the time. Something I like to do is hoard everything I have into my chests, so if I do need something for the community center, then I probably just have it at home. I'd be the #1 pick for a Stardew Valley version of the TV show Hoarders, but when you do complete the community center, it is such a good feeling. All of your hard work and patience has all been worth it, and if you keep at it, then I have no doubts that you'll get there too. I'll quickly go over the community center rewards too, so you get an idea of what you'll be unlocking as you go along. I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler warning. If you don't want to know, just skip ahead to the time on screen. Okay, great. For those still here, let's start off with the boiler room. When you finish the boiler room, you'll unlock the mine carts around town. This makes travel from the bus stop to the town and to the mines way quicker, and I would recommend getting this one done ASAP. Completing the vault fixes the bus and gains you access to the desert, which I will cover shortly. Finishing the bulletin board gets you a bunch of friendship points with the townsfolk. Completing the fish tank gets you the copper pan and unlocks panning. You know, I'd say panning is what this whole channel is known for, but it's quite fun and it gets you some pretty cool stuff. The crafts room unlocks the quarry. It's a massive area full of rocks, trees and minerals and its very own cave. I'll let you explore that one on your own. And finally, the pantry unlocks unlocks the greenhouse. This is a great place to grow crops and fruit trees that you purchase from Pierre. The fantastic thing about the greenhouse is that it isn't locked to the season you're in. You can grow anything and everything your farmer heart desires. And that's about all you need to know about the community center. All I can say is good luck, my friends. Before we move on to the expert guide, now that you've mastered the community center, I wanted to mention a few extra things. The first of which is the Adventurers Guild. You probably would have finished the quest to slay 10 green slimes to get in by now, so what's here? Well, there's a very extensive selection of weapons, if you so wish to put some hard-earned money towards an upgrade. Marlin also has an item retrieval service, meaning if you pass out in the mines and lose some items, then you can retrieve one of those items you lost. You'll get it in the mail the next day. And finally, you have the Monster Slayer quests. As you encounter monsters in the game, they will appear here along with the amount you've slain and the amount the guild wants you to slay. When you slay the amount needed to complete the goal, then you'll be rewarded for your efforts. You can claim those rewards from Gil, the old guy endlessly rocking back and forth. The Secret Woods is the next place I would like to mention. You can access it by upgrading your axe to iron and chopping through the large stump located just past the traveling cart. Here you'll have access to stumps that you can chop down every day. Yes, they reappear the next day, so you'll have no excuse not to have any hardwood. And finally we have the desert. A ticket to get here costs 500 gold. You have to make sure Pam is around to drive the bus, unless she's not and she leaves a sign out and then you drive it to the desert, so it makes no sense why we have to wait around for her when she's driving the bus that day. You know, it really doesn't make any sense. Anyway, and it's accessible once you've finished the vault room in the community center, like I mentioned before. But what's out here? Firstly, you'll notice the desert trader. She sells some pretty cool stuff. She also has rotating stock, so be sure to check in with her often. There is the Oasis shop that is run by Sandy. She sells a range of things, including some seeds you can't buy in Pelican Town. And lastly, you have the Skull Caverns. If you've made it down to the bottom of the mines, the key that you found will be a perfect fit to unlock the Skull Caverns. The Skull Caverns is an upgrade on the mines. It's an endless dungeon that will just continue on forever and ever until you pass out at 2 AM. It's here where you can find iridium, so definitely keep that in mind when your crafting recipes start needing iridium. But for now, that is all the info I have for the Intermediates guide. The last thing to do is of course some quick fire tips and tricks. So here we go! Craft your bug meat into regular bait. It saves you time and money. Time actually stops when you're doing certain things, like when you bring up your menu, reeling in a fish, looking in a chest. Lots of activities do this in single player, so be sure to make use of it if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed. Did you know you can angle your cast when you're fishing? Just hold the directional keys or your thumbstick to send the cast left or right. Because mine levels reset when you leave, you can actually farm the first levels of an elevator level for minerals. Keep an eye out for treasure chests when you're fishing. You never know what goodies you might get from them. I did mention all the skill paths I'd take in the skills section, but if you ever want to change them, then use the Statue of Uncertainty in the sewers. It's quite costly, but worth it if you want to change some skills later on down the road. If you plant flowers around your bee houses, you'll get honey that is made from those flowers. It's even worth more money if you do so. If you're too lazy to chop wood and collect stone, you can just buy it from Robin. But be warned, the prices do go up in the first year, so get in early. Bloody inflation. Clint does sell minerals if you can't be bothered going to the mines, or you want more coal. You can actually place sprinklers in the slime hutch. Let them water your slimes for you. Your first prismatic shard should be taken to the desert to get one of the best weapons in the game. The Galaxy Sword. Just hold it high above your head in the middle of these 3 pillars, and boom, you now have one of the best weapons in the game. The quarry can be used for extra space as no one goes there. Just place down paths so no rocks or trees grow. And last but not least, thanks to the 1.6 update, you can change your bobber style. Just go to the bobber machine and Willy shop down on the pier. I hope your brain is starting to expand with the amount of Stardew knowledge you now possess. If you wish to stay with me as we move on to the expert's guide, I will warn you now, the knowledge will start flowing in your veins, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. Welcome to the Extra for Experts part of the guide, folks. In this section, I'll be covering everything you need to know after completing the community center and helping you to achieve perfection. And that all starts with the Magic Ink quest. Make sure to get this quest done and dusted ASAP so you have access to the magic book in the Wizard's Tower. I do have a couple of tips. You have to donate at least 60 items to the museum in order to get the rusty key. You'll need it to access the sewers to retrieve the talisman. And to get past the goblin, you can actually fish up the void mayonnaise in the witch's swamp. The rest I'll leave up to you because it's pretty self-explanatory, just follow the quest steps. Once you have finished the quest and the wizard gets his ink back, then you'll have access to the magic book. This book lets you purchase rare magical buildings like obelisks, Junimo huts, and the golden clock, all of which I will get into soon. Next up on the list to perfection is Ginger Island. Having finished the community center, you will get a letter from Willy asking you to meet him in the back of his shop. Trust me, it's not as creepy as it sounds. He'll tell you about his rundown boat, which, if you can fix, can take you to Ginger Island. Fixing the boat isn't easy, however. You'll need 5 batteries, 5 iridium bars, and 200 hardwood. The batteries I recommend getting from lightning rods. When there's a thunderstorm, these lightning rods will store energy and give you batteries the next day. Iridium you will have to get from the Skull Caverns, and the hardwood you'll have to get from the Secret Woods. Although, if you plant a bunch of mahogany tree seeds and put tree fertilizer on them, you'll get 200 hardwood a lot faster. Once you have fixed the boat and made it over to Ginger Island, you'll have to start collecting golden walnuts to start opening up the island. There are 4 areas on Ginger Island. You have the beach area, this is where you first arrive. To the east you have a dense jungle, this is where you can find Leo in his hut. To the north is the dig site and the volcano dungeon. Then to the west you have a vast area with a new farmhouse, farmland to cultivate on, and Key's walnut room. A few areas I just mentioned I will elaborate on as we go along, but for now keep an eye out for those golden walnuts. One place you'll be seeing a lot of is the Volcano Dungeon. This dungeon only has 10 levels to it, with level 5 being a rest level. Each level is randomly generated each day. However, unlike the mines, the levels won't reset when you leave, so you can pass back through previous levels if you so wish to. The Volcano Dungeon is also like playing a big game of the floor is lava, so you always have to have your watering can on you when you come here, so if you get stuck in the middle of a lava lake, you'll be able to make your very own pathways. And be sure to make use of the water refill point on level 5. If you do want a quick escape, then you can spend 5 walnuts on level 5 for a parrot to open up an emergency escape. This will put you back outside the volcano. Just know you can't get back in that way. I have been disappointed by that before. If you do manage to pass through all 10 levels and get all the way to the top, you'll pop out at the Volcano Caldera. Up here is where you can access the Forge. The Forge is used to upgrade weapons, combine rings, enchant tools and weapons, and change a weapon's appearance. All of these actions require Cinder Shards. I'm sure you would have acquired some on your way through the Volcano Dungeon, but the Volcano Dungeon is the only way to get them. To upgrade a weapon, you can infuse it with Amethyst for knockback, Aquamarine for a critical hit chance, Emerald for speed, Jade for critical hit damage, Ruby for damage, or Topaz for defense. Each weapon has a maximum of 3 upgrades, and you can mix and match these perks, so have some fun finding what works best for you. There's a big list of enchantments for both your tools and weapons. To enchant either one, you have to infuse it with a prismatic shard. When you do, it will give you a random enchant, so if you want the right one, then you may have to spend a few prismatic shards to get it. And finally, you can change a weapon's appearance. 2 weapons can be merged through the Forge. The resulting weapon will have all the stats and info of the first weapon, but the appearance of the second weapon. That means only weapons of the same type can be merged, and just know that the second weapon will be consumed. Before we move on, no, you do not have to go back the way you came to return to the bottom. Head left for a shortcut to the bottom. Opening the door from this side will open the door forever, so you can go back to the top and access the Forge whenever you like. Combining rings, on the other hand, is as easy as chucking 2 in and getting 1 back. A few ring combos that I would recommend from personal experience is the Iridium Band Lucky Ring combo, the Burglar's Ring Slime Charmer Ring combo, and the Napalm Ring Savage Ring combo. To be honest, you can combo any of these rings together, all of them are very useful. Something else I mentioned before was Key's Walnut Room. In order to get through the door, you need to have collected at least 100 golden walnuts. And do bear in mind that there are 130 total, so you do need a lot. When you have collected enough and you're welcomed inside, you'll probably notice 3 things: a special orders board, a prize machine, and a perfection tracker. The perfection tracker is pretty self-explanatory, and I'll go over that in more depth soon. Key quests are a whole new ball game though. These are endgame quests that will put your Stardew skills to the test. I honestly could do a whole video on these quests alone. However, I do have one piece of advice. One thing I like to do is commission an upgraded shed from Robin and fill it with crystallariums. These will replicate any mineral you put in it, and if you choose to replicate jade, then you can trade them for staircases at the Desert Trader. For quests like the Dangerous Mines, the Dangerous Skull Caverns quest, and the No Eating in the Skull Caverns quest, where you have to make it down at least 100 levels, staircases take all the stress out of those quests. Each time you complete a key quest, you'll be rewarded with key gems. These key gems you can exchange for rare items that Key is selling, and trust me my friends, you'll want to get your hands on these items. The last couple of things to note about Ginger Island: to the left of the volcano is a golden Joja parrot that can be paid off to find all the remaining walnuts that you haven't found. It costs 10,000 gold per walnut you haven't found, so it's up to you whether or not you want to splash out or put in the work to find the rest. And inside the watery cave beside the dig site, you'll find a shady looking man named Fizz. He sells perfection waivers for 500,000 gold. If you do purchase one, then your perfection tracker will go up by 1%. So technically you could get perfection this way. It would just cost you 50 million gold.
Oh my god.
Moving right along to a crowd favorite, that's right people, we are back to talking about farming. The final stages of expert farming are when you introduce iridium sprinklers, Junimo huts, pressure nozzles, and enrichers. Iridium sprinklers cover a 5x5 square, meaning you'll be able to water your crops on a much larger scale with more room for crops themselves. Junimo huts can be purchased from the Wizard's Magic Book, and the purpose of them is to employ a group of Junimos who will work free of charge. They will pick your crops for you when they're finished growing. They won't plant any seeds though, that is still on your shoulders I'm afraid. Pressure nozzles you can purchase with key gems as a reward from Key's Walnut Room. If you place this on an iridium sprinkler, it will increase its range to a 7x7 square. And finally, the enricher is another sprinkler upgrade that will automatically fertilize the soil when you plant seeds. You do have to load the fertilizer into it though, don't assume it just appears out of thin air. I haven't talked much about friendships in a while, so let's see what an expert should know. There are a few things you need to know about friendships in the late game. Let's start with the quality of the gift. If you were to give someone a loved gift on a normal day, you'd get 80 friendship points. If you give a loved gift to someone on their birthday, you'd get 640 friendship points. If you give an iridium quality gift to someone on their birthday, you'd multiply that by 1.5 times. In layman terms, an iridium quality loved birthday gift can get you about 4 hearts with a villager in one go. So make sure if you have the opportunity to do so to get your hands on the best possible quality of that gift. It'll go a long way because friendship points can be tedious in the late game. Star drop teas are a great way to get friendship points too, but they're quite rare to get. I think you can only get them from golden fishing chests and the prize machine in Lewis's place. But if you do manage to get one, giving an iridium quality loved gift on a birthday plus a star drop tea is the equivalent of turning someone from Oscar the Grouch into a Justin Bieber fan. Lastly, let's talk about relationships. This won't be the birds and the bees chat, don't you worry. When you have enough hearts with the bachelor or bachelorette, usually 8 hearts, you can purchase a bouquet of flowers from the general store. Giving it to the person of your choice will turn them into your boyfriend or girlfriend. This unlocks another 2 hearts with them, and once they reach the maximum of 10 hearts, then you'll be able to marry them. In order to ask them, you have to find the old marina down by the tide pools to purchase a mermaid's pendant. Once you hand it over to them and they accept, you'll have the wedding 3 days later. Mazel tov! Power books were added in the 1.6 update and are great to keep an eye out for. Some you may find out in the world, some are obtained by accomplishing certain tasks or prizes, and some can be purchased from Marcelo the bookseller. He visits the valley twice every season. You can see when he's visiting on the calendar if you want to mark the occasion. The books are quite pricey, but so worth it. You don't actually need them for perfection, but all of them are worth getting. The raccoon quests were also added in the 1.6 update. You'll start the quest line when you obtain the greenhouse, and you get the cutscene overnight where the wind blows over a tree in the cinder sap forest. Once you fix up the tree stump with hardwood and turn it into a cute little cottage, the raccoon will move in, and he'll ask you to bring him things. Each time you do, his family will grow, and his wife's shop will start to stock up with some pretty awesome items that you can trade for. Again, it's not needed for perfection, but it's definitely worth investing time into. Now it wouldn't be Poxial's ultimate guide if I didn't mention fishing again. The last things you need to know about fishing in Stardew are the legendary fish. There are 5 fish that can only be caught once. The legend can only be caught in spring while it's raining at the bottom part of the mountain lake. You need to be level 10 fishing to even hook the thing. The crimson fish can be caught in summer off the pier at the end of the tide pools. You need to be at least level 5. The angler can only be caught in fall in the river just above the Joja Mart, and you need to be at least level 3. The glacier fish can only be caught in winter just to the south in the cinder sap forest. You need to be at least level 6 fishing. And finally, the mutant carp can be caught in any season in the sewers. I would recommend using the trap bobber when trying to catch these suckers, or eating anything that increases your fishing level. It makes for a much easier time because they do put up a good fight. You'll also know you've hooked one because the fish icon looks a little bit different. Do note that these fish do sell for a lot of money, but you can also chuck them in the fish tank in the community center if you want to show them off. The great thing is, it's totally up to you. The movie theatre is a building you can unlock for the town after you've finished the community centre. The old abandoned Joja Mart will have one last bundle to complete, and it requires you to use a lot of what you've learned to find these items. Once you do complete it, the abandoned Joja Mart will turn into a movie theatre. It's actually useful, by the way, in the sense that each villager has their own favourite movies and snacks. So if you've invited someone to watch a movie with you and get them a little snack that they like, then you'll gain friendship points with them. Also, it just looks way better than an abandoned rundown Joja Mart. Following the mysterious Mr. Key questline will gain you access to the casino in the desert. In short, you insert a battery pack into a bracket in the tunnel, you hand over a rainbow shell to the box in the railroad, you put 10 beets in Lewis's fridge, you hand over a solar essence to the dragon skeleton in the desert, and you pick up the club card from your woodpile. It's just that easy. The casino is more of a late game place to hang out. You can gamble with key coins, which are different from key gems, by the way, let's not get them mixed up. These coins you can gamble away and spend at the store. Next on my list is the mastery system. This was also added in the 1.6 update and further pushes you to gain XP in your 5 skills. Once you have achieved level 10 in every skill, you will unlock the mastery cave. This can be found in the cinder sap forest. Mastery works a bit different to your normal skills. Every skill's XP gains are combined together into one. All of that XP goes towards the mastery levels. When you do get a mastery level, you'll get to choose what skill you would like to master. Mastering a skill gets you an item or crafting recipes and a perk based on that skill. Farming mastery gets you an iridium scythe, the statue of blessings crafting recipe, and the ability to find golden animal crackers. Mining mastery gets you the statue of the dwarf king crafting recipe, the heavy furnace crafting recipe, and the perk gem bearing rocks now drop twice the gems. Foraging mastery gets you the mystic tree seed crafting recipe, the treasure totem crafting recipe, and the ability to find gold mystery boxes. Fishing mastery gets you the advanced iridium rod, the challenge bait crafting recipe, and the ability to fish up gold treasure chests. And the combat mastery gets you the anvil crafting recipe, the mini forge crafting recipe, and the ability to find and equipped trinkets. All of the mastery crafting recipes are quite material heavy, but they're so worth making. Once you make your decision as to what skill you would like to master, the others will become unavailable again until you get your next level. Then you just keep going until you get all 5. I would like to quickly sidetrack to the trinkets for a second because they can be tricky to understand at first. There are 7 trinkets that you'll come across. The basilisk paw, making you immune to debuffs. The fairy box, this summons a fairy to periodically heal you. The frog egg, this summons a frog that will eat anything in sight. The golden spur, critical strike gives you a speed boost. The ice rod will freeze enemies in place for a certain amount of time. The magic quiver shoots a magic arrow at enemies every so often. And finally, the parrot egg. You'll summon a parrot that will grant you gold periodically for slaying enemies. Now, 5 of these 7 trinkets can drop at different levels. levels. The higher the level, the better the trinket is, and the anvil you would have unlocked from the combat mastery is used to re-roll trinket levels if you want to try and get your trinkets to the highest level. My favourite trinkets, and arguably the most useful, are the fairy box and the parrot. Healing is great, extra money in my pocket is also great. Speaking of money in my pocket, how does one go about making piles and piles of cash in the late game? I mean, you have to make 10 million gold just to purchase the gold clock. Well, here's some tried and true ways of making buttloads of money. El Clasico is wine making, more specifically ancient fruit wine. It's as simple as setting up a massive crop in your greenhouse and the Ginger Island farm, filling a bunch of sheds with kegs and going stir crazy on the wine. Method number 2 is having a max level parrot egg trinket, spritzing some monster musk on yourself and taking that trinket into the dangerous mines, specifically levels 40 to 50. Quick note, you can access the dangerous mines at any time given you've completed the key quest at least once. Just go to the bottom of the mines and turn it on via the challenge shrine. You will make a surprising amount of money without even realizing it. Another money maker side hustle is aging goat cheese. Wine takes ages to age in casks, but aging goat cheese that is already gold quality is surprisingly profitable. Something else you can do is use those crystallariums you have to replicate diamonds. If you can gather enough resources to make a bunch of them, replicating diamonds is another good side hustle. And finally, we have made it to the perfection goals. Everything has been leading to this moment. All the knowledge, all of the hours, all of the time spent in the valley will lead you to the moment you start going for perfection. And here's exactly what you need to know. The list of achievements you need to accomplish is as follows. Ship every item, purchase all 4 obelisks, purchase the gold clock, complete every monster slayer goal, reach max hearts with every villager, max out your farmer levels, find all the star drops, cook every recipe, craft every item, catch every fish, and find all the golden walnuts. Once you have done all of these, you will have 100% Stardew Valley. Oh, you want some tips on how to do those things? Oh, yeah, sure. I guess that would make sense. Let's start with shipping every item. The best advice I have for this one is to literally hoard everything you find in your chests. Anything you see, pick it up and keep it on you. Shipping requires you to ship anything from stone to a radioactive bar. To start with, just take one of everything you have stored away in your chests and ship it. The next day it'll be updated with what you've shipped and you can go from there. Make sure to visit all the vendors both inside and outside the valley, grow everything, pick up everything you see on the ground and ship it. The obelisks are pretty straightforward. If you're making lots of money from those money-making strategies, then you'll have no reason not to afford them. Do note that they require some items related to the area they teleport you to, but I'm sure you'll have a bunch of them on you already. For those who have never seen the obelisks before, they teleport you. The gold clock is just straight up a money grind. Just stick with whatever money maker you've got going on and you'll get there eventually. Monster Slayer goals are also a grind. Monster Musk is a big help as it will spawn more monsters. You can get that from the Wizard's Prismatic Slime special quest. Max hearts with every villager is also a grind. Do you see we have a bit of a theme going on? Make use of birthdays, iridium quality gifts, and star drop teas. You'll naturally max out your farmer levels, so I wouldn't worry about that one too much. There are 7 star drops to find. They can be obtained from the following sources. Level 100 in the mines, sold for 2,000 tokens at the Valley Fair, from your spouse when you reach 12.5 hearts with them, sold by Krobus in the sewers for 20,000 gold, obtained from the Master Cannoli statue in the Secret Woods when you give it a sweet gem berry, from Willy in the mail when you've caught every fish, and the last is from donating all 95 items to the museum. Cooking every recipe requires a few things. First of all, a kitchen, which you'll probably have by now. You'll need all the Queen of Sauce recipes. Fun fact, Marcelo can sometimes sell a book with all the Queen of Sauce recipes if you haven't been keeping up with them, and the rest of the cooking recipes can be found from vendors around the valley and from them being sent in the mail when you reach certain hearts with villagers. You will need a lot of random stuff when cooking, and Pierre's missing stock list is an item that you can get from Keys rewards in the Walnut Room. This gives Pierre his whole seed stock list, allowing you to purchase any seed from any season all year round, making it way easier to grow what you'll need for those tasty cooked dishes. Crafting comes down to acquiring all of the crafting recipes. You'll get most of them from leveling up your farmer levels, purchasing them from vendors, don't miss out on the festival ones also, and completing special quests. Lots of those quest lines get you crafting recipes. A great tip is to enable the advanced crafting option in the settings. This will tell you how many times you've crafted something when you hover over it. That's gonna save you a lot of confusion, I'll tell you that much. Catching every fish is pretty easy compared to the others, just make sure to fish in those weird random places you wouldn't even think to fish. And last but not least is the golden walnuts. If you've already made it into Key's walnut room, then I'm sure you'd be pretty close anyway. Just remember that you can always pay off the gold Joja parrot if you can't be bothered. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but that is it. After that, you will have achieved that prestigious 100% on the perfection tracker, and you'll be invited to walk to the summit. Congratulations, my friend. You did it. I hope this guide has helped you in some way or another in your journey through this marvelous game. I know for sure there are things that I have missed. If I tried to cover it all, then let's be real, we'd be here forever. That being said, I hope this comprehensive guide to Stardew Valley has been worth the watch, and I hope it guides you to reaching perfection sometime soon. So there you have it, folks. Hopefully now you are filled to the brim with Stardew Valley knowledge. The best way to learn all of this stuff is by simply playing the game, but sometimes we just need a push in the right direction. If you did enjoy the guide, then be sure to leave a like and to subscribe to the channel. I do appreciate it very much. And with that being said, there's not much else to say except you're all wonderful people, so have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching.